Doesn't show.
I guess.
I'd like to call to order the Monday, July 27th, 2020 Planning Commission to order.
Tonight, we do not have a chair or a vice chair in attendance. According to the 1995 bylaws of the Planning Commission, Section 3C, Chairman Pro Tem, it states as follows: where both the chairman and vice chairman are absent from a hearing or meeting, the remainder of the citizen members of the Planning Commission shall elect a chairman pro tem from among their own number by majority vote. So a motion is in order to do that.
I'd like to make a motion. With the absence of both the chair and the vice chair tonight, I would move to elect Chairman Banks or Commissioner Banks as the chairperson pro tem for this meeting to be terminated upon the return of the chair.
Do I have a second?
And I will second that.
Roll call vote. Planning Commissioner Banks,
Aye.
Commissioner Billups,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Hose,
Aye.
Commissioner Rohr,
Aye.
Commissioner Honeycutt.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
Well, at this time, if I could ask you all to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, what I would like to do is ask Commissioners Jackie Fairbanks and Scott Casey, if you will please join me up front, because of course social distancing applies. You can use this. It's right there.
Okay.
It's all right. I think I'm all right. I think you can hear me. On behalf of the City of Blue Springs, we want to thank you. We know it's time consuming, but for volunteering to serve your city. And in that, we would like to offer you these plaques. It says, Jackie Fairbanks, in recognition of your leadership, dedication, and commitment, City of Blue Springs Planning Commissioner from May 2016 to July 2020. I'd like to present you with your plaque. And then also, Mr. Scott Casey, we do the same for you and thank you very, very much. It says, presented to Scott Casey in recognition of your leadership, dedication, and commitment, City of Blue Springs Planning Commission, August 2017 to July 2020. We want to thank you both very, very much. Okay.
Someone next to them.
Someone next? Here, I'm going to present you, and there's your name plaque. Thank you. Oh, all right. There you go.
It's magnetic.
I don't know if she wants a picture, but I don't know how we could do this.
Yep, maybe just tad it a little closer.
Just tilt toward each other and,
Okay,
all right. Mask it all.
okay, let's go here real quick.
Don't worry about smiles.
Okay, and then go just a little bit over to the right, okay? This is a whole new world. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for letting us do that. And now I'd like to welcome two new commissioners. To my left is Jacob Honeycutt. Welcome to the Planning Commission. And on my right is Tom Rohr, and we welcome you too. Those are our new planning commissioners. So now we can really get busy again. Okay. Now, let's go through the agenda. We have the consent agenda. We have a public hearing for rezoning of Triad Investment Properties, LLC. The presentation of the 2019 Planning Commission Annual Report, followed by other business and adjournment. So with that, I would entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Mhm. Okay, all those in favor of the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the consent agenda's been approved. All right, we've got a public hearing, so I'm gonna read the instructions for the public hearing, or the procedure for you. I'll open the public hearing. I'll call for exhibits from our city attorney. The staff will make their presentation, the applicant can make theirs, and then I'll ask for witnesses in favor and in opposition. We'll have general discussion. I'll then close the public hearing, and then we will make our decision and recommendation to the city council. So with that, I will open the public hearing for Triad Investments, and if I could have the exhibits from the city attorney.
Yes, I offer the following exhibits into the record. Exhibit 1, staff report with attachments. 2, application with attachments. 3, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on July 11, 2020. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jury.
Thank you, Chair Pro Tem and Commissioners. Public hearing is being held at the request of the City of Blue Springs Economic Development on behalf of the property owner, Triad Investments Property, LLC. This request is to rezone property from the current GB zoning, general business, and SF7. As you can see, there's a bit of a sliver of SF7 on this property in the map shown here on screen. SF7 being single family, and rezoning all of that to the proposed RC Regional Commercial Zoning District. The property is roughly 3.25 acres, addressed at 2209 Southwest westbound US 40 Highway, located north of 40 Highway and roughly 800 feet west of Southwest 19th Street. There are there's a couple of reasons why this application is coming before you today. Triad Investment is connected to Triad Roofing. The construction contractor use cannot be located on this property under the current GB zoning. So the construction contractor use is not allowed in GB. However, this use is allowed in RC, provided that special use standards are met. The Triad Investment Property and Triad Roofing business could potentially be allowed to obtain a business license if this RC rezoning is approved. Staff does believe that the proposed rezoning meets the 9 criteria for rezoning and does recommend approval. In the interest of time, I'll outline a few of the reasons, or the main reason why staff does believe that this rezoning to RC is justified at this location. The property is well suited to meet the intent of the Regional Commercial Zoning District. The RC zoning district is intended to accommodate commercial uses that serve community and regional needs, thus the regional commercial name. Businesses that serve regional needs typically need to be accessible and visible to the region. The property is located on a section of US 40 highway that is both highly visible and conducive for regional traffic, which is traveling at a higher speed due to the separation of east and westbound lanes of 40 highway at this location. Staff will note that with any change in use, property does need to be brought into conformance with the UDC. However, the UDC does allow some non-conforming issues to remain if the proposed use is less intense than the previous legal non-conforming use. Staff believes that the construction contractor use would not be less intense than the previous Casey Bobcat use if the area in front of the building was used for storage of building materials. However, as proposed by the applicant or the property owner in this location, The fence will be relocated, removed from the front and relocated to be in line with the building, and thus pushing all of the storage for construction contractor use behind the building as required by the special use standards. As well, there is some gravel area on the farthest property to the east. And this gravel area should be removed as gravel is prohibited in the City of Blue Springs for vehicle use. So it should either be paved or returned back to grass. So staff does believe if these two items are addressed, that the proposed construction contractor use could actually be a less intense use than the previous use that Casey Bobcat had on this location. And the change in use may be allowed per zoning, or pending the rezoning of this request. So with that, I will stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Jury? Thank you very much. Okay, do we have someone to speak in, the applicant, please? I'm sorry. Mr. Mallon?
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, so help you God?
I do. Mike Mallon, Acting Director of Community Development on behalf of the city, 903 West Main Street, Blue Springs, Missouri. I just wanted to address the Planning Commission this evening. This is a little bit of an anomaly or a one-off kind of case where city staff is actually acting as the applicant to process the rezoning request on behalf of Triad, and staff is doing that to help further economic development purposes by making the site more conducive to allow this contractor storage use to go onto this property and thereby retain Triad Roofing as a valued business in the city. By acting as the applicant, staff believes we're helping to foster a pro-business environment and make our city conducive to business ventures, and like I said, retain a quality business that has invested quite a bit in Blue Springs to date, and we'd like to continue to see them make Blue Springs their home. So with that, as the applicant, I can answer any questions you have. There's a representative from Triad here if there's any questions about the actual site or the use itself, but we feel that the rezoning request is pretty self-explanatory to allow the contractor use on this property. The staff is requesting that change to regional commercial zoning.
Are there any questions for Mr. Mallon? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor? Anyone opposed? I'll bring it back up here. Any general discussion? Mr. Phillips? Commissioner
I'd
Phillips?
just like to say, excuse me, that, remind everyone that Casey Bobcat would have been a regional commercial, would have required a regional commercial zoning had it not been grandfathered in. So really, we're just bringing this to the existing piece that was already there. So this really should be not an issue.
Anyone else? Do you have your mic on, sir?
No, I'm sorry. I had to turn it
You
off.
want to
but-
repeat that?
I will repeat it, yes.
Thank you.
The prior use with Casey Bobcat, had it not been grandfathered in, would have required the regional commercial zoning already. So really, we're just putting in place the zoning that would have been there with the exception of the grandfathering anyway. So really should not be too much of an issue for anyone.
Thank you. Anyone else? I am very pleased that something's going in. So
Me too.
That's a good thing. All right. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. If no further discussion, I'd like to close the public hearing. Roll call, please.
You want a motion first?
Motion. I haven't done this for a while, so thank you very much. Did I hear a motion?
Madam Chair Pro Tem,
Yes.
I would move for approval of the rezoning RZ 07207383.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Henning, second.
Gotcha.
All right, roll call now. Thank you.
Planning Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Hose,
Aye.
Commissioner Rohr,
Aye.
Commissioner Honeycutt,
Aye.
Commissioner Banks,
Aye.
Commissioner Billups?
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Motion carried, and our recommendation will go to the city council, and the city council will hear it August the 3rd at 6 p.m. So they meet at 6 o'clock. All right, thank you very much. We practiced today, but I forgot about the motion part. So, all right, now we have the presentation of the annual report by Mr. Mallon.
Thank you, Commissioners and Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you.
Gonna get used to saying that. This is just a quick overview of the 2019 annual report, which is included in your packet. We are pleased to present this to you. 2019 was a good year in terms of development and building permits for the Community Development Department. And I'd like to run through some of those highlights with you this evening. 2019, we saw a record number of building permits issued in the city. That number is, total number of building permits issued was 1,303, which was an increase over 2018 and a pretty significant increase over 2017. So as you can see from this graph here under the building permits issued, staff is trending up in building permits issued over the last 5 to 6 years. As part of that, staff issued permits, or we added 417 dwelling units through the city, or in the city, which is the highest level since the early 2000s. So Blue Springs continues to be a sought-after place to build new houses, and 2019 saw again a record number of building permits for such things as decks, fences, building additions, things of that nature. Our application totals that were heard by the Planning Commission are here identified in this chart. We did see a significant number of Unified Development Code text amendments last year, an increase from 1 to 2 on average over the previous 5 to 6 years to 9 last year. A number of those did have to do with the medical marijuana regulations that came before the city in response to the constitutional amendment. The rest of our applications were pretty on par with years past. We did see a little bit of a dip in, or quite a significant dip in preliminary plats, but that's because we had a number of preliminary plats in 16, 17, and 18. The rest of the applications seem to be very similar with years past, which means we are, pretty consistent in the development that we're bringing forward to you. Some significant residential permits that came before the Planning Commission and have, are evident in the construction or being built right now are the Novel Place development, which is over in the White Oak Shopping Center development near the southwest corner of 7 and 40 Highway for the senior living. We also saw significant residential development in Colonial Highlands. Saw a number of projects get approved as well down in Chapman Farms, the garden at Chapman Farms, the duplex project down there. And in terms of commercial highlights, we saw up on the north side of town, we had the Blue Springs Marine project up on I-70, just a little bit east of Woods Chapel. And next door to that was the Storetropolis project, which is the Hunt Midwest climate-controlled storage project that helps fill in the gap there along the I-70 corridor. A number of school district projects were completed in 2019, including Blue Springs South High School, as well as a number of the elementary and middle schools projects. I think that's about all the highlights I had. If there are any questions about the annual report, I'm happy to answer those. Or if not this evening, if you have questions about any of the development projects that come before you, either prior to a public hearing or after the project's approved and that they're moving along the construction timeline, I'm happy to answer those at any time. But with that, staff is again pleased to present the annual report to you. I think development and quality of development is continuing on pace or on the rise in Blue Springs, and we're proud of the work that is accomplished in the city, and we thank you for all of your service at the Planning Commission and for helping to make Blue Springs a great place to do business and to develop. So, thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Mallon? Thank for all your
Thank you.
work and your staff. Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to other business. Back up.
That's me again. Right now, we do have a meeting scheduled for August 10th, and we will have at least 2 items on there. We have a couple of Unified Development Code text amendments to bring forward. One for donation bins, the clothing donations bins that are located on properties throughout the city, and another one in regards to conditional use permits and the development review procedures related to those. Matt, do we have development application?
Yes.
3?
there is.
And we do have 3 development applications to bring forward to that night as well. I promise we'll move through the agenda as concisely as possible, quickly and concisely as possible, so that we can avoid any 3 or 4 hour hearings again. But we don't anticipate any of the projects that are coming forward on the 10th to be as maybe controversial as the last 2 planning commission meetings that we've had. So we will be here again on the 10th.
All right, thank you very much. You do send out the notices though to us, so we should be ahead of our, I get them, I don't know if everybody else gets the notices of them.
Yeah, we did send out those notices last week,
So
and
you
so,
can get a heads up on what's coming in.
right. So we normally, we send those out on the Wednesday, or they go to the Examiner, they get published on Saturdays. They would have been published this past Saturday. So if there are any questions or concerns or issues that we hear from neighboring residents on those projects, we'll start to hear those this week. And so, but based upon the application types, I don't believe we'll hear too much.
Okay.
But we welcome anybody who's watching or who wants to participate in the public process to send emails to the emails listed in the public hearing notice and to join us for the public hearing on those evenings.
They're also posted on the Blue Springs site on the agenda, each item.
Yes,
until they
each
come
item will be
into the-
posted on the Blue Springs agenda site, and there are signs posted on the property, so they should all be adequately noticed.
You can sign up for those notices by going to Notify Me on the website. You can
That's
get
a
the
great point.
notifications for planning commission, for city council, for all public hearings. So, yeah.
Maybe that's how I got them.
Yes.
That's a
It's a
great
great
point, thank
tool.
you, Karen.
I'm in the know, so you can do it too. All right. Anything else? Anything new business? How's? All right. Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Don't be so excited. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, this meeting has now been adjourned.